On the show, in Wheelspin, we drive the new Volkswagen Jetta. In Wheelspin, we get in behind the wheels of a racing truck. And in the best of luxury driving, we drive the Mercedes CLA to Gwalior. What I'm going to drive today is this, the new Volkswagen Jetta. Well, if it doesn't look all that new to you, then it's because it isn't all that new. This is the same 6th generation Jetta that you're used to seeing on Indian roads, but what this has got is what many cars get in their midlife, or rather to solve their midlife crisis, a facelift. And this is what this Jetta's got too. And this is the Jetta Volkswagen has recently launched in India. The Jetta is in fact one of the oldest models from Volkswagen. It was launched way back in 1979 based on the existing Golf platform and came with both the 2-door and the 4-door versions. But nothing really substantiates more the fact that this is indeed one well-made car than the fact that it has survived over 35 years and is currently in its 6th generation. And the one we drive today is the latest iteration, the 6th generation with a facelift. As in the case of most facelifts, this Jetta too has got a complete front-end treatment, and what you get now is a new front grille with 3 chrome strips here, a new bumper, new air dams and headlamps with daylight running lights, and what all this has done is to give this a new fresh look. And as you make your way to the back of the car, you realize that the rear part of the car too has had a change. You get a new taillight cluster here, new bumpers and new position for the license plates here, and even a new Volkswagen logo. And again, this has made the back of the new Jetta somewhat different from the existing one. The Jetta was launched in India in 2010 in its current 6th generation version, and this current one, which Volkswagen launched recently, isn't any different than the outgoing one in terms of dimensions and wheelbase. All that has remained untouched, and the only difference is in the cosmetics, which we feel has made it more proportionate and a better looking car. The strength of the Jetta had always been its solid build quality, and this is where it has an edge over its rivals. If you were to step inside this new Jetta, I can tell you that you will be a trifle disappointed, because what will greet you is pretty much what the old car offered. Not too many changes which are really visible to the eye the moment you step in. But then if you look closely, you will find that the steering here has become flat bottom, pretty much like most of the car in the Volkswagen stable now. And this is wrapped in leather with multifunction buttons on it, which adds a nice touch and very practical too. And then if you look at the instrumentation here, you will find that there is a small addition. Now it comes with chrome surrounds. Not a big change, you might say, but then again, every little thing adds to the car. But where the Jetta really scores is in terms of the build quality. It feels and looks very solid, and in terms of the equipment list, it has pretty much everything that a mid-size car will offer you. And one more area where the Jetta really becomes my favorite is in terms of safety. This Jetta here comes with 6 airbags, which is absolutely class leading. No other car in this segment offers this much. Overall, I think the Jetta is a car which will offer you all the comfort, luxuries and plenty of space. The Jetta comes with 510 litres of boot space, which is bigger than what the competition offers, and the split 60-40 rear seat makes it a bit more versatile in terms of luggage carrying abilities. If you were to take a look inside the bonnet, you will find that things really haven't changed much in there either. The new Jetta continues to be powered by the same 2 power plants, a 2-litre TDI diesel and a 1.4-litre TSI. But where you do have a choice is in terms of the transmission. The diesel TDI comes with 2 options, a 6-speed DSG as well as a 6-speed manual transmission. Even the 1.4-litre gasoline TSI engine is mated to a 6-speed manual transmission. But what you will not find in that is an option of an automatic. What really impresses me about this new Jetta is the ride and handling. The ride is quite nice, it's not very jarring, especially for our Indian conditions, and at the same time the handling is sorted out. It stays planted, corners quite confidently, so overall you have a very nice package in this Jetta in terms of drivability, in terms of fuel efficiency and in terms of handling. And overall the car feels really solid. It's built very well. What I'm driving right now is the 2-liter diesel TDI engine mated to a 6-speed manual box. And I really like this box here. It's smooth, it's easy and slots in perfectly. And even in Indian conditions, I think you will find that the 6-speed is a good option because it will help you save on the fuel. And it really shows up on the fuel efficiency figures. This diesel gives you over 19 kilometers to a liter. In case of the petrol variant too, I think it's the 6-speed box here which goes a long way in making this so much more fuel efficient. In fact, you get figures of over 14 kilometers to a liter, and that's not really bad for a car in this segment.
The new Jetta rides on 16-inch wheels on new design alloys, and the ground clearance of just 159 millimeters might prove to be a bit too low for the Indian road conditions. But the low stance of course makes it look sportier and improves its cornering abilities.
After having driven this new Jetta, all I can tell you is that I will completely agree with you if you were to say that these changes here aren't just enough. Yes, they are not enough, but keep in mind that this is not a generation change, neither is this a platform change. This is an attempt by Volkswagen to address what I call the midlife crisis of a car. And I think Volkswagen has done a nice job of doing this. They have refreshed the car, and this is sure to give it an extended lease of life. And if you look at the market in India for mid-sizes, there really aren't too many cars there. But the good part is that if you do opt for the Jetta, what you will get is a car which is typically German, which means that it's really well built. And if Volkswagen does not increase the price too much of this new Jetta, then I think it will be a very valuable addition to the entire mid-range car in India. So if you are in the market to buy a car this size, do have a look at this new Jetta.
Well, Volkswagen didn't increase the price drastically, but still at an approximately 3 to 4% increase, the Jetta won't be the cheapest car in this segment. The Jetta will be available in 2 variants for the petrol and 4 variants including one with an automatic transmission for the diesel variant. And the prices start at Rs 13.7 for the base petrol, while the top of the line diesel with an automatic transmission will cost Rs 20.17 lakh.
You might have seen me drive some fancy cars on the show, or at times not so fancy cars, or even seen me ride a bike. But what I drive today is something which is not really easy to come by. This 10-feet monster here looks intimidating even for a drive, doesn't it? But I tell you something, there are some people with loose nuts and bolts up here who actually go racing with this. This is the truck from last year's Primer Truck Racing, which Tata Motors had introduced in India. Most forms of motorsports requires extreme levels of fitness, but in the case of car racing, sometimes you might not find out whether you're fit or not before you get into the driver's seat. It's only while you're driving you might realize you have not been in the best of shape. But in this case, not so. Even to get into the driver's seat, it seems like you have to pass through a fitness test to climb up all the way. And this is no easy feat, let me tell you that. Not easy, I told you. But now it's time to go driving. I had a long-standing desire to drive something which pumped out more than 1,000 Newton meters of torque. And today I have not only got that, I have got a whole lot more than that. This truck pumps out 1,500 Newton meters of torque, and this comes very low down at around 1,300 to 1,500 RPM. Remember, this was designed to haul cargo, not to race. So the power is delivered way down the rev band. This is a 8.9-litre inline 6-cylinder turbo diesel engine which pumps out 340 brake horsepower, and it is mated to a 9-speed gearbox. Well, the gearing is not as you would expect in a sedan or a luxury sedan. This is certainly not smooth, does need a little bit of working out to slot it in properly. But then, with a little bit of practice and my kind of a talent, you just might get it. This is very raw, but this feels really good. If you like driving your vehicle straight off the production line, then I'm sure this is something that will delight you. I think racing trucks is really one of the toughest forms of motorsports. You not only have to have a lot of car control, but it's very physical. A lot of noise, vibration, wind, everything comes in, and there is no refinement.
With only the chassis, this truck weighs some 400 kilos less than a regular truck. And because of the light rear end, it has become bouncy, and also the tail has a tendency to step out if you corner hard. So steering input is critical to cut down on the oversteer around a fast corner. But once you master the art, it actually becomes good fun to fling it around the corners. And for stopping, it uses an all-around booster assisted discs, which actually do a great job of bringing this to a stop. But then the discs on constant and high-speed braking heat up fast, so the improvised technology of having 2 tanks with water come in handy, as they sprinkle the water on the disc and prevent brake fade during racing.
I just love this. Truck racing is new to India, but last year we saw the first races at the Buddha International Circuit, courtesy Tata Motors, and this year too Tata Motors is planning some races. Truck racing is of course one of the toughest forms of motorsports, requires a lot of skill, physical toughness, and of course talent. And if you think you have it in you, then give it a shot, because if you do happen to master it, it's a lot of fun.
Head out again, and today I'm off to what's going to be new territory for me, Madhya Pradesh. Now I'm off from Delhi to Gwalior, a city famous for its rich regal past, its many palaces and its beautiful fort. And to take me there, I have this stunning recently launched CLA from Mercedes. It's a car that's positioned as a compact sedan, and I'm convinced that it is one of the best looking cars in its category. At least for me, it was love at first sight, and whether or not you like cars, I'm sure you'll agree that this one is a beauty. Well, I'm excited to get behind the wheel, so next stop, Gwalior.
Gwalior is around 330 kilometers from Delhi via the superb Yamuna Expressway and NH3. I've driven on this highway a couple of times now, and I have to say that world-class roads like these make the journey so smooth and comfortable. It's only about a 5-hour drive, so if you live in Delhi, it's a very easy place to get to for a weekend escape into India's royal past. You might even spot some nilgai and deer in the fields on your way like I did.
The CLA is a joy to drive. This is the 2-liter petrol, and it's smooth, it's powerful, and it's very responsive. But what I like most about the car is that even though it looks compact on the outside, it's actually really comfortable and luxurious on the inside. The seats feel and look really plush, there's more than enough legroom even in the back, and best of all, the interior detailing has this really cool, slick finish, so that's what I'm the biggest fan of. Just arrived in Gwalior, and of course my first stop had to be the Gwalior Fort. Now the fort is perched majestically on a high plateau overlooking the whole city, so it commands the most impressive panoramic views. It also comprises several palaces and temples, so there's so much to do here you could easily spend the whole day right in the fort area. Now, I'm told that one of the most beautiful structures in the fort area is the Man Singh Palace, so that's where I thought I would start out. The imperial-style Man Singh Palace is very unusual, particularly in the decoration of its facade, because this styled mosaic work forms the most unusual figures and animals, including a frieze of yellow ducks. Now, this kind of iconography is really not seen that commonly on Indian palaces, so I think it might be a reflection of the personality of the ruler who built the palace.
The palace was taken over by several other rulers after Man Singh Tomar's initial rule, and apparently the Mughals used the basement level as a prison. In fact, all the temples and palaces in the complex have a varied history of patronage as they were seized by different rulers over time. But since we're exploring the legacy of Man Singh Tomar's reign, I thought it fitting to stop by Gujri Mahal next.
The Gujri Mahal was built by Raja Man Singh Tomar for one of his wives, but it's now been converted into an archaeological museum. And here you can see some of the finest stone sculpture of the era, as well as bronze artifacts and weaponry. And they're all really evidence of the skill level of the artisans of that time.
Gujri Mahal is located at the base of the fort and was built by Raja Man Singh for a woman from a lower caste that he fell totally in love with and named Mrigneni, or gazelle-eyed one. Now a museum, it has beautiful Hindu and Jain artifacts, all showcasing the exemplary carving work that is the hallmark of Gwalior's architectural and sculptural technique.
I find myself at the beautiful Sas Bahu Mandir, a temple very highly regarded within the fort complex for the intricacy of its carvings. Now, the Rajput ruler Raja Mahipal had built a temple for his mother and a temple for his wife, and so collectively they came to be known as Sas Bahu Mandir. And it's really worth coming here to appreciate all the details in these carvings. It's really amazing the level of skill that's demonstrated in the workmanship. And you can see all these figures in different positions, beautiful motifs and patterns. It's really just mesmerizing, and I'm so enjoying taking it all in.
The Gwalior fort and all the structures it contains really captures the imagination. I could easily spend hours here cooking up stories of royal intrigue, courtship and battle. But before I get carried away here, I have another palace to visit. And to get me around the city, the CLA is perfect. It's a huge advantage to be driving a compact on the narrow roads around Gwalior, such as those leading up to monuments.
I'm at the Jai Vilas Palace, and apparently the Scindias really had a flair for luxury. In the Darbar Hall here, there are two of the world's largest chandeliers, each weighing over 3.5 tons. And it's said that to test the ceiling strength, they used 8 elephants as weight. Now, there's also a silver train in the dining hall that circles the whole dining table, serving each of the guests. Now, I've never heard of anything more luxurious.
The Jai Vilas Palace was built by Maharaja Jayaji Rao Scindia in 1874, using prisoners from the fort. The palace was designed and built by a European architect under the guidance of Maharaja Jayaji Rao to welcome King Edward VII. It has 400 rooms, out of which 40 have been converted to form the museum. And from these, you can infer just how grand the lifestyle must once have been. After visiting the fort, temples and palaces, I was keen to visit the famous Gurudwara Datta Bandi Chhod, as I'd never before been to a Gurudwara. It is a tranquil shrine across 6 acres of land, made in marble with colourful stained glass exteriors. It was built in the memory of Sri Guru Har Gobind Sahib, the 6th Guru. This Gurudwara is called the Datta Bandi Chhod because Guru Har Gobind Sahib insisted on the release of 52 other prisoners that had been held by Jahangir for over 2 years in this fort. It's a very peaceful place to walk around and introspect.
What a lovely and serene way to end my day, seeking blessings at the Gurdwara. It's truly been a wonderful trip to Gwalior, and taking in all the resplendent architecture and the sense of luxury of the eras gone by has me fantasizing about being a princess. But luckily for me, I do have quite the specimen of modern luxury waiting for me, that jewel of the CLA. So I'm looking forward to getting back behind the wheel and heading to my next destination. I hope to see you next week.